Welcome back, guys, to Tuesday Night Hype number 57. We are now in the top four. I'm joined by Ray C now instead of Cora. Don't listen to the overlay, it is lying. How are you doing, Ray?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I just watched an epic last few games, and they seem pretty exciting so far. Looks like Powder just defeated Navi, who's probably going to be one of his toughest opponents all night. So that was pretty impressive. Those were some good games to watch.
Yeah, that was not a super tight series, but I think both players played very, very well. They're both
Yeah,
obviously good.
Navi played the Reno versus Freeze Mage when Navi was playing the Freeze Mage. He played that really well, and I learned a lot from that game just by watching him and how he approached it.
That's impressive when a player can teach you something, so I'll give him some credit there. And it looks like
Man, anybody can. I'm always learning.
It looks
That's how you get better.
We started out here with Powder's Reno Warlock versus some sort of priest deck.
It looks to
Definitely,
be a control priest from what we see in the opening hand. Generally, dragon priests are not playing Justicar, so you can infer that it's some type of control priest. Probably plays some in tombs and probably pyromancer combo. He plays circles, so he probably plays Hawkeye circle, like Deathlord, all that fun stuff. And he has a museum curator, so yeah, looks like it's a pretty standard control priest deck we got here from FunkyMath. And Powder's opening hand, it's not bad. It's not bad. And as the Warlock, you have a huge advantage because generally priests don't pressure you that much, so you can just tap for a while and just gain a massive card advantage over the priest and eventually use that to beat them.
yeah. Back when it was just traditional handlock, it was like priest's worst matchup by far, I believe. How much has the matchup changed now that it's Reno list, especially without the combo that you so often use to kill priest in these sort of situations?
Well, if he's playing demons, which he is, right?
Yeah.
And he has Draxus. So if he's able to draw Draxus early or get Draxus discounted by Emperor Thorson, I think Powder's going to be in a really good spot. If he doesn't find Draxus until way later in the game, there's a chance that the Priest could win because they have a lot more useful tools now. Like Museum Curator can find situationally good cards. Like this Toshli is going to be pretty good later in the game. Entomb's going to be good on random threats. He has a pretty strong curve, so if Powder can't find Draxus for a long time, there's a chance that the Priest can take this game.
Yeah, Draxus could also like come out of a Death Lord or a Void Caller or something like that, which would probably be rather problematic for Powder, I would imagine.
Yeah, one thing that I've seen a lot of good Reno Warlock players do is if they have the option to play a 4-drop, whether it's between like Shredder, say he draws Void Caller here. If he had Draxus in the hand, I think he would just choose to never play the Void Caller until he plays Draxus. But that's not the case, obviously, but
Yeah, it very well could be at some point. And it's a heads up play because a lot of players will just slam Void Caller the second it becomes an option, just because you can get a ton of value from it. And normally, and basically, like almost any other matchup, getting that Draxus down is really important. We saw in the Paladin game, it came down and traded with basically everything.
ooh, that's a really good draw. He had a Shredder to play, but Twilight Drake is definitely stronger here.
Yeah, Shredder would die to like a Velen's Chosen Museum Curator or something along those lines. But not really any way for the Twilight Drake to be dealt with.
Yeah, I don't think there is a really efficient way to deal with it right now. We're probably just going to see a Velen's Chosen on something and a trade into the 3/3, and then go face with the rest. That's what I would imagine seeing. Maybe we'll even see a coin heal to draw a card.
Yeah, I think you probably should in this matchup.
Yeah, or alternatively, we could just see like trades happen and then a heal on the Death Lord and just like Power Word Shield or something like that, and just save the Velens and all together in the coin. Because the coin's probably going to be useful, especially with that Toshli in the hand. He probably wants to get that out on turn 5, so he probably wants to avoid using the coin this turn if he can.
Yeah, you Power Word Shield first. He's going to draw. Now you can play the Cleric and then draw 2. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, that was actually a really strong draw from FunkyMath. He didn't really have much else he wanted to do with that one extra mana. It was just kind of awkward, but that top deck Northshire Cleric, that was perfect for him. And we see him barely get up the attack on time for the 1 damage to face.
Yeah, don't want to miss 1 damage.
No. And we see Powder just Hellfire here to clear the Northshire Clerics. He needs to stop the snowball. He can't let the Priest draw too many cards off the Northshire Cleric. I mean, right now he has like FunkyMath has a full hand, but like FunkyMath could in theory try to dump his hand out and then just draw more cards in the future. So Powder just wants to clear those now.
Yeah, and it's not like Hellfire gets a ton of value against Priest. If you think about like typical Priest minions, they usually have pretty high health totals, so you're going to need a little more than Hellfire to actually get rid of them.
Yeah, Hellfire is a lot better against Dragon Priest than it is against Control Priest usually. Here, we don't see the coin into Toshli. He really wants to protect this Deathlord from dying, so he just opts to Velen's Chosen and heal, which seems fine to me. It's going to be maybe a little weak to Implosion Dark Bomb, or just Implosion itself and Implosion.
Ooh. He only gets the 2.
Yeah, so he has to Implosion Dark Bomb. I didn't even, like, register in my head that he could just Mortal Coil it if it hit for 3 for a second, and I just said him... Powder, it's my fault that you hit the 2 there, buddy.
Damn it, Ray.
Damn. Sorry. Sorry, man. Them's the breaks. That's Hearthstone.
Are there any spare parts in this matchup that you think are like extra useful since we do have a Toshli coming down? Taunt doesn't seem horrible.
I mean, maybe Stealth is fine, and I don't know. It depends what he plays, really. I think the Reversal one might be the best one if he didn't already use Museum Curator, because then he has a high chance of drawing it, and then he can get like so much value off that. But otherwise, they're all pretty mediocre for the most part. Like, I would say generally in this matchup, it feels like Time Reversal or the Stealth one have the most impact on the game. Taunt can come into play, though, later.
Yeah, I think Taunt would be a little more useful against the combo variation.
So FunkyMath didn't use his coin in his Taunt spare part. Now he's going to overdraw a card, I think.
Yeah, it looks like it. Heads up play from Powder there to realize that that was a possibility.
Yeah, I think that's why he actually went for that, and that is huge.
Yeah.
Losing your Light Bomb against a Reno deck, that's absolutely game-changing. And you don't really need to save that coin at this point. Like, I was thinking he wanted to save the coin that turn to try to coin into Toshli, but like he didn't end up doing that. So now the coin is like, I mean, he'll get use out of it at some point, but is it better than having a Light Bomb? I doubt it.
No, it's I don't even think there's any question about that. And I mean, he is still ahead on board here, but like,
all right, this is interesting that he decides to go with Belcher over like Sylvanas and forcing his opponent to trade. I guess he wants to get more value out of the Sylvanas, and he has the Sylvanas Shadow Flame, which is a guaranteed clear and sometimes a steal in whatever lives. But Belcher feels really weak here. He'll probably just get Entombed.
Yeah, I think the feeling with Sylvanas, though, is if you play that, it's just going to get Entombed
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
just going to get Entombed too. This baits it out.
So save it. You can save it for Shadow Flame value, I guess.
Yeah, no, I like this Belcher here. At first, I thought he was going to go for Dark Peddler and Piloted Shredder because he kind of hovered over the Dark Peddler.
Yeah.
But then he decided Sylvanas or Belcher was better. And FunkyMath, he picks up a Wild Pyromancer, which will have synergy with the spare parts if that ever matters. Not sure if it will, but yeah, I'm not really sure what FunkyMath wants to do here. He like is probably thinking Entomb's a really good clean clear, but at the same time he wants to save it. So I don't know. Oh, interesting. So he decides to go with the Akanai Soul Priest here and just ping that off and clear it. Now the Zombie Chow is threatening to deal 5 burst damage.
Yeah, and you have already seen a Hellfire, so like, and Dark Bomb as well. So like Dark Bomb Hellfire, which would probably be the primary concern about this board, isn't really a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we see Powder just chop into a Doomguard here. I don't think that's what he wants to see at all.
No, I'm not really sure how I feel about it included in Handlock, simply because if it doesn't come off Void Caller, it's really hard to throw away cards.
So, FunkyMath, does he actually just win? If
So,
he draws... Oh, no. Okay, if he had drawn a Zombie Chow, I think he would have... potentially one,
He
but
has the
that flash
flash
shield's the same
heal.
amount of damage. So
So
let's see.
10. I think he
9, 11,
does.
16. It's 16. Um, but he
So
can also use the
he can use.
Justicar hero power. So I think that's lethal. If he can, yeah, that's lethal. If he spots it.
It looks like he did. I don't see a reason to flash heal face otherwise.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, so he hits with the Chow.
He can even
Or
just trade the
he can,
Chow and hero power face.
yeah, he could do, he has lethal multiple ways.
And
Yeah, as soon as Powder left that zombie Chow up, I was like, instantly thought, oh god, if FunkyMath draws the second zombie Chow, that's game over. But Flash Shield's effectively the same thing, but slightly better, I guess, since you hide your circle. Sure.
yeah, but that's a win in a pretty unfavored matchup.
Yeah, I did not expect the matchup to go that way. That was pretty surprising, actually, to see it play out like that. And the funny part is that the zombie Chow was stolen from Powder. That wasn't even FunkyMath's zombie Chow that was used to kill him.
I forgot about that. That's kind of mean, killing Powder with his own zombie Chow.
He's asserting dominance, man. He has to show him. FunkyMath has to show Powder that he means business. He's not afraid. He's ready to go.
Nope, and he gets a 1-0 lead. He has his Paladin and Warlock left. I mean, they're not super good matchups against Reno Lock, but they're better than Priest. So if you can get it done with Priest, maybe you just sweep his Warlock and be done with it.
Yeah, Priest was. Oh man, that just was not the matchup you wanted to see, but he was able to pull it out, and that's just so bad for Powder. Like, usually, in order to win any one Conquest series, sometimes you just like hit the 3 good matchups, and sometimes you have to win like 1 bad matchup. And in this case, FunkyMath just got over his probably worst matchup possible. And yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. We'll see if FunkyMath, which deck he decides to play next, and we'll see if Powder decides to stay on his Reno Lock.
Yeah, one of them is taking a while to think about it. So I think that matchup going the way it did probably messed with Powder's game plan a bit.
Yeah, you definitely don't expect to lose that one as Powder. And we see Powder change it up to what looks to be Aggro Shaman, and FunkyMath plays his Secret Paladin. And for FunkyMath, I think which deck he chooses, it honestly doesn't matter. It's 50-50. You can just roll a dice and pick randomly at that point. But for Powder, he decides he wants to change it up and play his Shaman deck.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty good matchup, I think. It's,
I would say it's slightly Shaman favored, but
yeah.
it's pretty close. And FunkyMath here, he's deciding. I don't think he's mulligan yet. He's deciding whether he wants to keep that Noble Sacrifice or not. I think that's really the only decision he has.
Yeah, I don't. He keeps the True Silver, actually.
Whoa.
Keeping your only source of healing is an interesting way to go about this matchup.
That seems very wrong, in my opinion, because you're not on the coin, and that's on turn 4. Against Aggro Shaman, sometimes the game's just over on turn 4.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, having that healing is nice, but it's only 4 healing, which won't be relevant most of the time. And if you just pass the first 2 turns, it's gonna be completely irrelevant.
Yeah, the way that Secret Paladin ends up snowballing and beating Aggro Shaman is usually just taking control of the early game with cards like Muster for Battle after having a decent curve. Like, missing your turn 2 mini bot, I don't know if you can actually just... You can come back from it, obviously, but like it's just so hard.
It's going to be difficult. The good news is, from here on out, his curve is pretty good. The bad news is Powder's holding double Rockbiter Doomhammer.
Yeah. And FunkyMath actually drew a Keeper of Uldaman, so he's going to have a solid clear on both of the Feral Spirit Wolves if he wants to next turn.
Yeah, it was a pretty big pickup. It makes that True Silver keep look even more like irrelevant, but...
Yeah, he might end up going with True Silver, but that seems a bit weaker than the Uldaman, since the Uldaman makes a 1-1 into a 3-3, and it gives you a solid body on board. And you can always use the True Silver later for healing. Like, I think the Uldaman just helps you fight for board harder than the True Silver would, and both of them let you clear both Feral tokens. The only downside is that if you don't play the Uldaman, I guess you don't gain 2 health, but you can play the True Silver later and gain it anyways. I don't think you'll be dead by then. But with that double Rockbiter in Powder's hand, I could just be wrong.
Like, the thing with playing True Silver here is that even though you gain 2 health, like, you're punching into the... I guess you're probably punching into the minion anyway with the Keeper, but...
Yeah, yeah. If you keep her, you have to punch into the minion.
You're losing your entire board if you make that play.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he just Blessing of Kings is here and trades, but that seems...
I'd so much rather have the 3/4 body on board, I think.
That seems a lot weaker to something like Earthshock, for sure. And it seems weaker to just, I don't know, just everything, really. Okay, so he goes with the Ultimate here. And I think he's just going to end up clearing both Feral Spirits this turn. Yep, that's what he does. He leaves the Totem Golem on board to do another 3 damage. That's 9 damage so far, correct? Once it connects again.
It was played on turn 1, and it's never traded, so is this 12 damage? Is it... Or,
yeah, no, it is. It is. No.
Or no, it is 9.
It's 9, it's 9. Yeah, because the weapon hit into the Leper Gnome.
Yeah, doesn't get to attack on turn 1, obviously, my bad. But, I think Powder just hero powers here and just plays Doomhammer and then wins. It's gonna suck to see this Belcher, but he has the Earthshock to deal with it.
The thing is, though, with the Belcher, it's gonna stop the Doomhammer from connecting for a whole turn, which FunkyMath, with the Challenger in hand, he can actually potentially race because he has the Loatheb. There's like a small chance he can actually race this.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be easy, but it might be doable. Interesting decision there not to kill the Totem Golem.
No, that was really smart by FunkyMath. That was a heads-up play. He recognizes that this is Powder's Doomhammer turn, and if he's going to win this game, he needs to race. And I think that... Oh, okay, so... This play from Powder, not playing the Doomhammer this turn, means that he has 10 damage burst next turn, and he's probably just going to use the Rockbiter this turn, and just say, if you do not have a taunt, you are going to... Or a Loatheb, you are going to lose.
Yeah, I like this play a lot. I don't really think you want to swing your weapon into the Belcher. It's effectively like not playing it, and by doing this, you're going to get in 8 more damage than you would have with the Doomhammer play, I think, so...
Yeah, this is definitely the correct play from Powder. Yeah, you can't afford to... Especially when your opponent went phase, you know that their game plan is to race you. By hitting face there, FunkyMath basically said, I am a serious challenger. I'm going to win if you don't win.
And this is actually it, right? Because I don't see a way for Powder to clear, or for FunkyMath to clear, rather.
You can just play Loatheb and not die for a turn.
Yeah, but then he'll just die next turn to Lava Burst, regardless of anything else that happens, so...
Yeah, he will. But he can live this turn.
Play that True Silver. Get the 2 healing in there that you kept off the mole.
Let's see. Yeah, Uther's right with me. I guess they're both... We're all trying to figure out how FunkyMath ends up winning this game.
I don't have an answer, and I don't think FunkyMath does either.
Maybe he just slams the Challenger and hopes for the best.
I mean, sometimes they don't have it, right?
Sometimes.
Most of the time they do, but...
Alright, so now the question is, you played...
Oh,
wait.
what?
Okay, that's confusing. So I guess he's just saying, I hope you don't have the Doomhammer.
Or Lightning Bolt.
Or Lightning Bolt.
Or...
No, Lightning Bolt doesn't get there.
Oh, no, it's 1 off, my bad.
Yeah, no, Lightning Bolt wouldn't get there. So, yeah, Doomhammer was, like, one of the only outs for Powder there.
Actually. Yeah, Doomhammer or Horse Rider Abusive, I think, would have been the only other out.
Yeah, so FunkyMath was basically saying, how do I win this game? And if he trades there, I don't think he ever actually can win. So he just says, it's like playing around Druid combo, right? You give them 1 turn to not have it, and if they don't have it, you'll win. But if they do have it, you just lose.
Yeah, I didn't even recognize that play, so that's really nice from FunkyMath there.
Yeah, that was well played by both players there. And just the Shaman got the better end of the stick there. And that matchup is slightly Shaman favored. And honestly, I think he only won by slightly. If he did not have that Earthshock, I think he probably would have lost.
Yeah, that was huge. I mean, it essentially dealt 7 damage to face, right? Because he would have been swinging all 7 damage into that Belcher. So
it also saved you face damage, which was pretty important as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he had... How much did he have when the game ended? Like 11 or something?
Powder, he didn't have a. He was basically going to be dead within like a turn if Challenger got dropped.
Yeah.
So it was closer than it would appear.
No.
So I believe it is 1-1 now, right?
Yep. Powder with a win on his Shaman, Funky with a win on his Priest. So we have Warlock Paladin versus Warlock Paladin.
Yep. So Powder's requeuing his Reno
Yeah.
Warlock deck, and FunkyMath opts to go with the Secret Paladin again. And FunkyMath's hand is it's looking pretty strong, as long as Powder does have the perfect answers to his hand. Oh my god, I was gonna say as long as there's no Dark Bomb or turn 1 Zombie Chow, but that's exactly what Powder has. This is gonna be a rough game for FunkyMath.
Yeah, he does have Tyrion, he does have Shredder, sort of later game minions, and while Twilight Drake is a 4-drop, if Powder's like playing things on curve, it's actually not that strong of a 4-drop. So, I mean, it's possible that Powder just draws things like Twisting Nether and Molten Giant for the next couple turns, but...
Yeah, and FunkyMath does not have the dreaded turn 2 shielded minibot either, so...
No, he's just going to play a... Do you think he should have coined out the Juggler to maybe start like aggressively fighting for board?
No, especially after drawing the Challenger. You want to save the coin. If you just play the Juggler, it dies as a Zombie Chow, and then if your opponent has an answer to your next Juggler, you probably just lose the game, but now you have a chance to get the board back once you play Challenger on turn 5. And ooh, that Noble Sacrifice is actually really strong here if Powder didn't have the Dark Bomb.
Yeah, well...
It still might be strong depending on whether Powder wants to just play Twilight Drake and pass or just try to attack. Either way.
Yeah, I think Powder could be really tempted by the Twilight Drake. So...
Ooh. So if FunkyMath plays his Haunted Creeper, Powder for sure gets the initiative to play the Twilight Drake, because that's not putting on any pressure at all.
No, not at all. He can pop the Noble Sack relatively risk-free as well.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really care if he trades his Creeper into it next turn.
No.
Is there any reason to play Voidcaller here instead of Twilight Drake?
I don't think so. If you play Twilight Drake, you're not really that afraid of silence, are you?
I don't think so. I very, very rarely do I see a Secret Paladin with silence.
Yeah, here I really do like playing the Twilight Drake over the Voidcaller, especially since you don't have the demons.
Yeah.
But Powder does decide to play the Voidcaller. I wonder what he's thinking. Like, these are like moments where I just like want to just ask the player, like, what is their logic behind doing this? Because he probably has a good reason, I would imagine.
Yeah, I for the life of me, I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, that's same. Honestly, same. Maybe he's thinking, I'm going to draw into a demon, but like, if he doesn't draw a demon off the top deck, now that he played the Voidcaller and he doesn't have any demons, he kind of wants to tap, which he does do, but now you're just not playing your Twilight Drake, and you're playing kind of off curve, and it just feels awkward.
Yeah, now if your opponent just nuts up and clears the Voidcaller, you lose a lot of value.
Yeah, and if he doesn't do that, then we're gonna see a Demon Wrath come off, and then a BGH. Like, he has to trade here, otherwise the Demon Wrath BGH is just gonna be a blowout.
We'll see if he goes for it. It's always so scary to trade into the
no.
Voidcaller, and that's going to work out really well for Powder.
Yeah, had he had traded, he wouldn't have any minions to be killed off to proc the Avenge, and Powder wouldn't have any creatures to attack with, so he wouldn't be able to get the Challenger up to 7 attack or more. And now this is just a huge blowout.
Yeah, that feels...
And the 1/1 comes back. That's just rough.
Yeah.
I think you pass this.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to attack. He'll most likely trade into your big game hunter. He didn't want to pop your Voidcaller last turn. Not attacking there may signify that you don't have a demon, or you'd try to pull it out there and pop the Noble Sack, but...
I don't know, because just not attacking there is fine because you know that the Void Caller is going to die, and if you don't attack, you make it so that if your opponent has a second challenger, they don't get to pull the other Noble Sack out of their deck. Even though I think that was probably a second one actually, but yeah, I don't know. There's just not a whole lot of reason to attack and just let your minion die. If you have something like a Mal'Ganis or something, maybe you don't want that to come out right now because of something like Keeper of Uldaman.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I can see it.
Yeah, it'd be easy, somewhat easy, at least just fine. He's just.
Huh.
I don't understand how you think you can go face here. I think you at least have to like trade into the BGH, right? I guess
I'm not sure.
I guess you true silver it off.
So when I play against Void Caller, just the card itself, a lot of the time, if I have like a somewhat decent answer to it, which FunkyMath does, he has an Ultimate. Sometimes I like to just kind of YOLO and just kill it. Because the longer you wait, the higher odds that they are to have a good demon in their hand. If you just do it right away, if they play it on turn 4 and you just kill it, that's the time where they're least likely to ever have a demon.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's like a theory I like toyed with in dealing with Void Callers for a while. The argument against that, I guess, is if they do have a minion, you really don't want to give it charge and let it attack next turn. But like you said, if you have Keeper of Uldaman or some sort of way to deal with it, then that's not as big of a problem.
Yeah. Either way, though, Powder has this. He has had this Void Caller on the board for quite a while, and he still has not drawn a demon. This has been in play since turn 4. He's had 4 draws, but there's Reno. Who needs demons when you can just heal to 30 health?
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to see it this turn. We might just see something like Argus come down or Dr. Boom.
Yeah, I think either one's fine.
Because
playing Dr. Boom makes it a lot less likely that your Void Caller gets juggled off by a Noble Sack or something here. You could just not attack again as well. I don't think you're under any pressure to really attack.
Your opponent, even if they have double Blessing of Kings, which is probably the maximum amount of damage they'll ever do on turn 8, is... I don't think it's even... That's still not close to really killing you, especially... Oh, whoa, never mind. I almost spoke too soon. I was going to say, especially if that Knife Juggler dies, but
Never
the Boombot shows this Knife Juggler mercy. So yeah, there's no way FunkyMath can ever kill Powder here.
No,
And not healing actually makes Powder more likely to be able to play the Molten Giant now.
yeah, it's somewhat likely at least that his next turn will be Molten Giant Reno, which is really tough to deal with.
Let me think.
Especially if we see like the Keeper of Uldaman used here, there's no answer to another big minion. I think Tyrion on curve might just be the play here though. Like, your opponent's hand is so small, what are the odds he actually has the Owl to deal with it? You already saw the Ooze, so that's not an answer.
Yeah, I think FunkyMath is just in a really, really awkward position here. We might just see him slam Tyrion and just go all face except for killing the Twilight Drake. Which I think you actually play the Tyrion like after you attack with the 2/2. So that way you have a chance to juggle off the Twilight Drake. And so that if the juggle hits the Boombot, you can still clear the Twilight Drake no matter what it hits. And he decides to clear the Twilight Drake first. I think both are fine. I'd have to think about that for a while, about what is actually better to do there.
Yeah, there's probably some math or something behind it, but it's hard to get all that done in 70 seconds.
But now, Powder got dealt the perfect amount of damage to play Molten Giant Reno, which we might see here, or we could just see Sylvanas Molten, but that's really, really risky. That's just unreasonably risky. I think we're just going to see the Molten Reno here.
Yeah, you're just dead to Blessing if you do that. If you play Reno here, I don't know how you ever lose.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I guess he can keeper your Molten and deal with that, and he'll have the weapon, but yeah, he can even weave in a tap actually with this play as well, so...
This is just so good for Powder right now. I think you're right. This might be an unlosable position, but FunkyMath is playing Seeker Paladin, so Never want to speak too early.
you, you never know sometimes.
You never know, man. We could just see FunkyMath empty his hand, top deck Divine Favor, and just... I don't even know. Secret Paladins are scary. Never underestimate them.
I mean, his turn 9 here is basically as good as it gets. Lothab Shredder, like... That's pretty strong. It's not as strong as, like, Reno Molten. Even Uldamon Lothab here is really good, actually.
Yeah, I like seeing an Uldamon come down on the Molten Giant here and just trying to clear it off or something with the weapon. Because if you clear it off with the weapon, the Reno has to trade into the 1-2 Slime, and then the weapon can then clear off the Reno next turn.
Yeah, that'll line up really nicely.
Yeah, so this Ashringer's actually doing some pretty good damage control right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, Argus is actually gonna,
Yeah, it's gonna mess everything up, but as FunkyMath, you're not really playing around things like Argus at this point. You're just trying to do your best to somehow come back.
With Sylvanas on the board, really difficult to deal with. If you somehow deal with this whole board, Bran Healbot's a thing.
Sylvanas is actually not that devastating on this board. It's only devastating because it's a big body, but the actual death rattle isn't going to do anything. The clear is going to be pretty much the same either way.
It does kind of prevent you from value trading with your weapon, I think.
No, I think the only way to clear it is to do this anyways. This is the only way you clear both creatures either way.
Okay.
It prevents blessing. Yeah, that's about it though. And FunkyMath is just going to play Shredder and Hero Power after clearing the board, besides the Defender. And Powder, he is free to do whatever he wants. He's not under a lot of pressure anymore.
Nope. He can tap as many times as he wants.
That seems a bit weird to me.
To make the attack?
Yeah, because if it is Avenge, I don't understand why you would want to make that attack and not just, like, chill. And if it's Redemption, it can only be Avenge at this point, actually.
Yeah, we saw a Challenger. We saw...
Yeah, I think we've seen everything. I don't know. That seems a bit odd.
Maybe you think it's second Redemption or something, but I don't think he hero powers if that's Redemption.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's irrelevant at this point, though, since Powder's so far ahead, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, he'd have to do a lot to lose this game. It takes some real effort, I think.
He could probably AFK for a turn and still come back and win. It wouldn't even be a comeback. He would have never fall behind. He has that beautiful Shadow Flame that is going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I think FunkyMath might try to just,
board.
like, blessing his Shredder here and hope that it gets through.
Yeah. So he does decide to clear off the Emperor, which is perfectly fine. Now he's going to Blessing the Shredder, and he might even Consecrate here just to clear off the 2-2, so that way it can't get, like, I don't know, a rogue, like, Power Overwhelming or something that you haven't seen.
Yeah, this also protects your 1-1, which means you have lethal on board next turn.
Yeah, that's actually insane. I don't know. That proccing that Avenge was just super weird to me. And now...
I mean, just play Mal'Ganis.
Yeah, now you play Mal'Ganis, he has to trade the Shredder, but there's actually...
like, if FunkyMath top decks Boom here, like, he's not... Just Bran Healbot is just going to be so much.
Yeah. It's a lot of healing, but we could see something like... What could we see out of the Shredder that'd be good besides, like, something obvious, like a Millhouse? Is there any, like, niche cards that could be good here? Maybe, like, Direwolf or something.
Not Captain's
Parrot. Not Captain's Parrot. And, alright, so this is probably going to be game now. Powder's probably just going to play Bran, Healbot, Shadow Flame.
Yeah, you can even, like, you can go back up to almost 30, clear this entire board.
Yeah, this is just disgusting.
Like,
but it was kind of inevitable.
Yeah, we said it like 4 or 5 turns ago that this game was unlosable, and Powder isn't losing, so...
Yep.
What is he thinking about? What is the consideration here?
Whether he wants to actually brand Healbot, maybe he's not. You don't actually have to be afraid of dying, so you could just play another minion that's not brand or Healbot, and then Shadow Flame that, like an Imp Gang boss if you wanted to. I don't know why you would, but like, they're things you can do. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. I think we'll just see the concede from FunkyMath here. Like, you're not getting out of this.
Yeah. Like,
You had some like small percentage chances before your entire board got cleared and he went back up to 26, but
yeah.
Let me think.
It was not looking good. But imagine if he had Owl, though. Imagine if he had top-decked Owl, though. Powder would have gotten so punished. But this is Hearthstone. That doesn't happen.
no, there's no such thing as punishment in Hearthstone. If I've learned one thing playing this game.
Yep, and Powder is going to go up in the series 2-1 against FunkyMath, winning Reno Warlock against Secret Paladin. So that's a good win for Powder. And now I believe he only has to win with his Paladin.
Yeah, and I believe it's secret. We saw it last round, and he had like the God curve and won on turn 7. So I think he'll be trying to do that again in the Secret Paladin
Yeah.
mirror.
And this is definitely not over for FunkyMath by any means. I think that the Reno matchup is probably around 50-50. And the Secret Paladin mirror, I mean, it's a mirror match, probably around 50-50. So he definitely has a chance to still win this series.
Yep. He's gonna take the mirror first. Do you keep Consecrate his Powder here? Because it is a pretty good card against Paladin. I know like Zalay had argued for doing that for a little while.
I've actually talked about this to a good degree with some of my friends, and the conclusion was that it is strong enough to keep in the mirror match most of the time, but Powder doesn't seem to think so, so maybe we need to rethink that a little bit.
I don't know. It's definitely up for debate. I can definitely like consider keeping it with like a mini bot or something alongside it. Maybe Powder really values having the early game curve. Unfortunately, he picks up double Noble Sack, which isn't exactly the ideal early game curve, but it could be worse since he does have the Secret Keeper.
Yeah, this hand from Powder isn't horrible at all, but I think FunkyMath has got a slightly stronger curve, especially that Challenger on 6 when we get there eventually.
Do you coin out Juggler here as well?
And yeah, every time. Or you could coin out Haunted Creeper, but you have the Noble Sack to protect the Juggler, even if he plays Muster. So,
Yeah, not really sure. Now the Creeper gets to eat your Noble Sack. I mean, it's not the worst outcome.
alright. So, in this world where FunkyMath gets God RNG, he could play Juggler and then attack with his Creeper, and then both Juggles could juggle the Juggler that Powder could have potentially played last turn. There we go. That's what happened there. Don't question it.
Now he can Juggler and Noble Sack again. You probably trade
Yeah.
into these 2/1/1s.
I think you go face with the Seeker Keeper here, honestly. But you might want to trade to play around Muster for battle. He didn't have it last turn, though.
You could
so-
just believe in your Noble Sack protecting your
Yeah.
Juggler, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would go face there with the Seeker Keeper, but doesn't matter. He ends up trading, playing it safe. And what a world this would be if that Creeper dies and kills off the Juggler.
We'll see. If he attacks here, there's going to be some more Juggle shenanigans.
Yeah, FunkyMath really wanted to see that Juggle. That was huge. That was the best possible
boy.
Juggle. And oh god, here it comes. Here it comes. Oh. Oh.
Oh, how fun was that?
That's still really, really good. Those are every single
Oh,
Juggle in a minion.
boy.
Oh my god, okay. Alright, Powder. This is some quality esports right now.
This is what I love about Hearthstone, when you can just have like 50 random events in the first 4 turns of a game.
I love Hearthstone. So much fun. I bet FunkyMath's having a really fun time right now.
Oh,
All right, that doesn't actually completely clear the board,
But it's pretty good.
but it's pretty good. I don't actually know if like I don't know how good that challenger even is next turn. Like obviously it's good, but like you don't pull out Noble Sack. That's just so annoying.
Yeah, it means that Powder can ignore it for a while, probably.
Yeah, he's gonna attack with his weapon, and Noble Sack's not gonna proc, and he's just gonna have a field day.
That's a brutal draw as well with that Avenge.
Oh my god, that was so bad.
And being able to put up Redemption, yeah, good news for Powder there. But being able to put up Redemption in front of this Belcher means that it's going to be a long time, probably, before this challenger ever hits face.
I mean, the game's gonna be over next turn unless FunkyMath top decks something, right?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the out is here. Coghammer's pretty good, I think.
Yeah, Coghammer. There we go. We found it.
Blessing is not good.
Blessing is not Coghammer.
You can overkill the Belcher by a lot more now, I guess.
Then it gets Redemption and event like the game's over, man.
Yeah.
Powder. He's gonna take the series 3-1 against FunkyMath, unless he DCs.
Even if he DCs, I think we just give it to him, right? This is lethal on board.
I don't know, man.
FunkyMath's gonna give it to him, so we don't have to worry about it.
And Powder, yep, takes the series, wins the Secret Paladin Mirror in the exact fashion that I expected, with some good old esports.
That was a good time. Anytime I get to see like 20 knife juggles go off, I'm enjoying myself.
Yep, especially in a matchup where the juggles are probably more important than they'll ever be in almost every other matchup. Like they're just so huge in that situation where there's so many one health creatures or divine shields and whatever on the board.
Yep.
But Powder's going to move on to the finals of Tuesday Night Hype number 57. And now we're going to see who's going to be playing Powder. Will it be Brady or Samwise 88?
I'm not sure, but I know how you guys can find out. If you stick around through like this 5-minute break, we will be right back with some more great Tuesday Night Hype action, so stay tuned.